How's it going, everyone? I'm Town Cape, and today I'm here to give you my first impressions on the finale of The Wolf Among Us. This review will contain story spoilers, so you may not want to watch it until after you finish the game. This is supposed to be a short review, so I can't discuss anything that requires too much detail. I like to focus on the Crooked Man. His character finally gets a large on-screen role in this episode, but I felt it didn't live up to the hype. The Crooked Man is an antagonist that happens to be everything the protagonist isn't. Bigby has issues controlling his temper, but the Crooked Man is always calm and collected. Bigby is young and strong, while the Crooked Man is old and frail. Bigby is a loner, while the Crooked Man is charismatic and gets different types of people to follow him. However, the most distinguishing trait between the two are the means they use to reach their end. Bigby prefers to use his fists, but the Crooked Man prefers to use brains over brawns. Unfortunately, that's where the problem lies. The Crooked Man is supposed to be an intellectual, but his on-screen portrayal doesn't seem to support that. First, why does he try to negotiate with Bigby at the start? This guy is supposed to have good social skills, so can't he tell from the start that Bigby would never agree to his terms? He should have known that a brawl was going to break out. Maybe he was just playing around with Bigby, but that only made everything more difficult. Bigby faces the Tweedles, Jersey, and Georgie in battle in the Crooked Lair. Know who's missing? Bloody Mary. She sure could have helped in the battle, but she's unable to participate. Why? Because she has to get the Crooked Man to safety. Which makes me wonder, why was the Crooked Man even there in the first place? If he expected Bigby to come along, then why didn't he leave all his millions to kill Bigby while he went to hide somewhere else? This guy doesn't seem to be a very persuasive speaker either. According to the Book of Fables, Bloody Mary has been following him for centuries because he can keep her out of trouble. How? I mean, look at this guy's attempts to keep himself out of trouble. He says that Georgie misinterpreted his order, but he never mentions what that order was or any other specifics. He's just very vague. He even claims that Georgie killed two of his most faithful employees for unknown reasons. He pretty much acknowledges how unbelievable his story is. I understand he has to lie to keep himself out of trouble, but there are so many more believable methods he could have employed. He could have presented forged documents, which showed the real order he gave Georgie. He could have bribed or blackmailed people to give false testimony. Instead, he just makes excuses. He claims that his employees never tried to kill Bigby, they were just overprotective. However, Snow White herself saw him watch the Tweedles and Bloody Mary attack Bigby. He also tries to bring up how Snow White isn't taking responsibility for the actions of Bigby, despite the fact that the trial is about him, and not Snow and Bigby. He also brings up how he has held various fables in the past, but that doesn't matter either. It doesn't matter how nice you've been in the past. When you're suspected of committing a crime, you're treated the same way as everyone else. Imagine if you're the offender in a real court case. If your defense is just saying you've been nice in the past, or that the sheriff also does bad things, then do you honestly believe you won't be charged? Of course not. That's simply not a valid defense. That's why I have a lot of trouble buying that the Crooked Man is an intelligent crime lord who can keep himself and his minions out of trouble. He just doesn't seem to be as clever as the narrative is making him out to be. I think Telltale knew where to go with this character, but they didn't execute it as well as they could have. Maybe it would have been a better decision to just keep him mysterious. I honestly felt the Crooked Man was more interesting as a mysterious silent off-screen Enigma than as an independent talkative upfront mastermind. Maybe I'm judging him a bit too harshly, but The Wolf Among Us is a mature game. If there's a mastermind in a mature game, they need to meet a certain standard. Other than that, this episode is great. It's well balanced with just enough exposition and action. Its pacing is spot on. There was never a moment where I felt the story was dragging along. The community gathering at the end is also a good way of bringing a conclusion to all of the players' choices. Despite a few cliffhangers, most of the character send-offs are done right as well. Remember guys, these are my first impressions and are liable to change in the future. Anyway, that will be at the end of this review, everyone. Thank you for watching. The next narrative of Nimble will be on Valiant Hearts: The Great War. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.